Counselor Accents Podcast. Two school counselors who love their jobs. Oh, and they happen to have Southern accents too. Bless their hearts.
Hey, Laura.
That's not how we start.
Oh, I'm Kim Crumbly.
I'm Laura Rankhorn.
And together we are
Counselor Accents.
You are a creature of habit, my friend.
I can't just start willy-nilly.
Okay, well, I thought I'd mix it up, but okie dokie.
People expect what we do. And I think I threw them off.
What we do is what we do, right?
I threw them off enough last week whenever we started with you saying, I'm Kim Crumbly. I said, and you're also a ding dong.
Do you know I've had people come up to me and say, hey, ding dong? So, and that's your fault. I'm being bullied, and that's on you. But for some reason, that's my love language. So when they call me ding dong, I'm like,
you hug them.
I hear I love you.
Mm-hmm.
So Laura, I'm excited about our Nugget podcast. We're calling this the Little Nuggets for Success. You're not calling it that, are you? Did I just make that up?
Just yesterday, I asked people at my school to stop using the word nuggets. Like steak nuggets. When you take anything and make it a nugget, with the exception of chicken, it's less appealing. But in this case, I don't know, bite-sized nuggets to start your school counseling year. That's good.
I agree with you. You can chicken nugget, but do not steak
nugget.
Nugget.
Don't do a fish nugget.
Well, let me just say, may I mix things up again. I know how you just said you hated that, but I would like to tell a story about steakums. Have you ever heard of? It's worse than a steak nugget. It's called steakums. Have you heard of this?
No.
Well, I have discovered steakums, and it is a faux steak, if you will. It's frozen, and my husband delights. I don't know what that says about his palate, but he delights in a good steakum sandwich. So I am sure the nutritional value is probably not there, but it is along the line of Spam, along the line of deviled ham. Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot about your potted meat. Food poisoning here. But anyway, I do not want steakum people calling me saying we don't cause food poisoning, but it is. I am hawking the wares of the. Is it hawking wares?
I don't even know anymore. You've got me so confused.
Okay. Well, let's get back to said nuggets.
Okay, this is the only kind of nugget I'll allow, and that is bite-sized nuggets to start your school counseling year. So we just wanted to give you guys quick bites, which by definition is a nugget. We wanted to give you quick bites that you could something you could start doing immediately. We call them rubber meets the road, that you can stop listening to this podcast if you're on the way to school or something, and you can say, hey, that's something I can work on today. So Kim, number one, let's just get going, get to it. Let's
get going. And these are not even in order of importance. And I wouldn't even say they're the most important 5 things, but we just like things like, hey, let me write that down. I'm going to get on that. I can do that. So one of the things that we're going to ask you to do is check the ASCA dates for your calendar. ASCA promotes dates of specific activities and things. Go ahead and look those up. Give us an example of an ASCA date. I don't know if you know the exact date, but give me an example.
Let me back it up, if I may. And someone was talking to us and they said, I feel terrible because I haven't even planned anything for this year. I didn't do any planning over summer. Does that make me a bad counselor? And I said, yes, absolutely not.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I said, absolutely not. It makes you an effective counselor because you can't plan when you don't know the needs yet. When you get back to school, pull out the ASCA awareness dates and things like September is attendance month and October is National Bullying Prevention Month. Look at those dates and see what lessons can you do around those dates or what activities can you do, whatever your grade level is. who can you bring in to speak to your students about bullying or suicide prevention, things like that. So
I love that, Laura, because that's just that takes 2 or 3 minutes to look those up, write those down on your calendar. Automatically, you're seen as a leader. You're showing that you're being successful. And our other third is using time effectively.
Yep.
That brings us to Nugget 2, does it not?
It does.
Go. I can see you're wanting the talking stick.
Nugget 2 is work on creating a brochure to talk about your program. Now, this falls under what we like to call promoting. And a lot of people think, ooh, promoting, I don't want to brag on myself. Well, you're not. You're bragging on your program. But anytime you can make a brochure and put something in the hands of others that looks impressive, talks about what you do, it's a good tool. And we're going to put would you call it a template? We're going to put a template in our show notes so that you can use that as a guide to create your own brochure.
So, yes, we
Where
have
can you use a brochure?
the template. We will add a template. If you have listened to the Ask a webinar, we talk about branding. Do we talk about branding in the Ask a webinar? No, we don't.
We did.
In our course. We did? Okay. So, yeah. So, you might want to make this the colors you want to use, the fonts that you like, but this is just something that you can put together at the beginning of the school year that you will use all year long. You're going to use it with your advisory committee. You're going to use it when you meet with the principal. You're going to use it when you are meeting with the parents and you're meeting with the teachers. It's just a tool that will be used throughout the year. And it answers those 3 questions too that we always ask ourselves. The
and I
time.
like to say, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, they know them. Keep going.
I like to say, have it for the new students when they come in. You
Yeah.
can hand them your brochure, because I always feel so bad for the new students. I don't know. Everybody has different procedures, but sometimes the new students are just sitting there while their parents complete the paperwork, and they're feeling anxious. And if you could give them some sort of packet or bag or something and put
That's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole
I want you to create that. I need what to put together for new students so that you can take it into them. Would you please prepare that for me and our listeners?
And would you please prepare how to prepare for an emergency? Because you're very good at.
I think those would be 2. Yes. I think when we can share ideas of things that we do well, everybody benefits. So yes, I am formally asking you to put together a packet that we can all share with new students. And I will do the same for what to do if you experience a crisis.
Thank you.
All right.
Nugget 3.
Nugget 3 is the conference before the conference is what we call it.
We call that, yes. And that is the administrator conference. Now, Kim, would you say this is the official ASCA administrator conference, or a conference?
We call it the interview before the interview.
Okay.
If you will. So what we're talking about is go to your principal, and before you even have that ASCA administrator conference, go to your administrator and ask your administrator, so you can be thinking about that the real deal, the real conference. So you're going to ask your administrator what he's thinking his goals may be, or she's thinking their goals might be for the school year. Is there anything that they want to do in particular that you can join with, or, just those regular procedures, or any procedures changing, suicide protocol procedures, or problem-solving team procedures, or whatever's going on in your school system, so that that's going to help you prepare for parent meetings, for teacher meetings, and also prepare for the principal administrative conference meeting.
And Kim, we've talked about this. We've actually quizzed each other and gone through this in our heads, but I cannot think of a goal that an administrator would have that we couldn't contribute to in some form.
Right.
Like if the administrator's goal is attendance, we can help with that. If the administrator's goal is,
Well, may I jump onto your thoughts? May I jump onto that thought? For instance, let me give you a for instance. I have not had my administrative conference meeting. I've not had that yet, but I have met with my administrator to get his feelings for this year. So I met with the administrator and I'm like, okay, give me some thoughts for this year. Of course, on our mind is, how are we going to proceed this year in relation to what's going on with COVID? What is his, what are his thinking? Well, we're leaning, what are we going to do with students who are, still he's got some thoughts. One of the things he wants to do is put in place a mentor program with older students, with younger students. So he's kind of sharing this with me. Now I know I've had my meeting before the meeting. So I know in his mind, he's got a couple of things that he just this is kind of what I'm thinking about. So now I'm going to think about that as I'm preparing my goals and preparing my administrator conference. I can go back in and say, hey, I've thought about what you talked about. Let me come alongside you. Here are some things that I have thought about. And, that's what we're talking about. Get their mindset for the year. Do they have a theme for the year? Is there are certain things that they're wanting to accomplish this year? And then you can go in and have a better conversation at that administrator conference.
Very well said.
I do not know, but
and I think it's also impressive because you weren't just having a meeting to check off a box. You were really
absolutely
to see how you could support your administrator. You're promoting yourself and your program. You're adding value and positioning yourself as a leader, using your time effectively and making yourself successful.
And, as a leader, I also share my thoughts. This is, for instance, this year, I want to do more parent trainings. That's on my mind. Now I'm just throwing it out there at him so he can think about that. And when we come back together, he may have a better, he may have ideas or whatever on my thoughts also. You are tickled about something. I can see it. Is it the hair?
No, it's you saying, I'm just throwing it out there at him.
That you mock me and that's bad. That's sad. But let me just say, if you can't see me, I am wearing my Dolly Parton t-shirt, or as I call her, the Dolly Llama.
I'm just throwing it out there at him.
I'm just throwing it out there at you. And that, I love the way that we're talking about leadership as we talk like, I don't know. Say it, just say it.
I did.
And my principal calls himself a transplant and Southern gentleman. He is from up north. So I know sometimes he looks at all of us and he's like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And he'll ask me, he'll hear it from a parent. What was it he asked me the other day? He had heard it from a parent. I'll think of it in a second. And he was like, have you ever heard that before? And I'm like, yes, I have, so it's just that cultural thing. Sorry.
Let me tell you, we had a webinar this week. My two administrators and myself joined in a webinar with other people from across the nation. So my assistant principal was asking questions and lots of questions because we didn't really understand some of the stuff that was being taught. So he keeps asking questions. Well, nobody had their screen turned on. Nobody had their camera turned on. So his was just his profile picture up there.
Yes.
His was the only profile picture. Nobody else had their profile picture. It's just a blank screen. His profile picture, and he made it known, we're from Alabama. His profile picture was of him on Johnny Appleseed Day, but the other people don't know that. So in his profile picture, he had on overalls with like one of them undone, the pot on his head, and he's standing there with his hand on his hip, looking very much like
he's just perpetuating the stigma.
Yes.
Can you imagine these people? Oh, that's a great story. Nugget
Who
4.
even knows anymore? Okay, Nugget 4.
Nugget 4. Said fourth nugget.
I feel like I can't even speak about this one because you are the queen of Nugget 4. So I think you need to carry the torch with Nugget 4.
I will say that we call this the best kept secret in counseling is your advisory committee. So I would just go ahead and make a list. This is a practical thing that you can start doing of those folks that are going to be your cheerleaders, and go ahead and put down thoughts. And this is beyond the ASCA requirements of we're asking you, to do, which is, those things you need to look at and make sure those are covered. But you also need to be getting those names down of those people we say add people from your community, from businesses, maybe some a local church person, a former educator. So be thinking, and this is in addition to your want to go ahead and ask your administrator and your board member and maybe an educator in the building, a teacher in the building. So make a list of these people who we're going to call those your cheerleaders, who are going to advocate for your program. And before I've even made my complete list for this year, Laura, I have already been in touch with my advisory committee. We've already had a community day where we gave out, as you know, shoe vouchers and groceries and school supplies. And we have met yesterday on the phone with my leaders, my 2 main leaders from my advisory committee, and we're setting up a program for our community so that it goes back to what I said I wanted to do with the parent training. And so they're going to get behind me and help me do that financially and whatever else I need. So it's never too early to get those cheerleaders behind you, the advisory committee. But go ahead, if this is a rubber meets the road tip, make that list of folks, talk to other people and see if it looks like that's going to be a good list for you, and start your year off knowing I'm going to have this meeting scheduled and I want it to do so very much for me this year. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, you actually ended your soliloquy with exactly what I wanted to say. And so I'm going to build on that, but
Okay.
I would purpose it in your heart to, like you said, go ahead and set the date, go ahead and make your list and stretch yourself. If this sounds intimidating to you, we promise that this is the best kept secret. This is transformational for your school counseling program to step outside of your comfort zone. Believe me, I have been that person who's running around the school on December 17th, the last day of school, trying to get people to sign my form saying, would you look at this agenda? Do you agree with all this? Here, sign this form. So I understand that time gets away from us. That's why if you purpose it in your heart and say, I'm doing it on this day, and these are the people I'm going to invite, then you're going to do it because you set it on your calendar. So just go ahead and make that decision and stretch yourself.
I love it. So that was a great segue into step out of your comfort zone, which is
Nugget 5 whole nuggets. Yeah.
Is it?
Quit
Okay.
questioning me.
Oh, sorry. I just thought we had a 6-pack, and maybe that's why, you can't get a 5-pack nugget. So you're going to have to come up with 6, but I'm going to go ahead with step out of your comfort zone.
Okay.
Just as you were saying, Laura, step out of that comfort zone, and maybe that is with your advisory committee. Maybe, in your mind, you've had something you've always wanted to try, and you maybe have saw somebody else do this, another counselor, or maybe it doesn't look like it fits in this regular counseling job.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah, let's just say centers. Let's just say centers that, usually you don't think of doing centers with students as a typical way to teach students. And we've done it with whole classes. So that may be something you're interested in. Well, look at it, look it up, and, get some PD on that, or see who's doing that well and follow that. That's just one example. Another example that I stepped out of a comfort zone last year was that I really, knowing that the job market for computer science, and of course we do a lot with C4C, so that helps, which is computers for counseling. But real counseling for, what did I say? What did I say? What?
Computers for counseling.
And what is it?
Counselors for computing.
I am going to be
giving away.
Thank you.
We're not giving away computers for counselors.
No. So anyway, I really took a grade and we examined computer science all year long, that degree, because we know that it's in every job these students probably have an opportunity to do in the future. That's going to be a part of it. So I really wanted to drive that home, but that was way out of my comfort zone because it wasn't what I usually do with my careers. But it was important to me, and I felt it was important for my students here at this school. So there are other, I don't know, does something in particular come to your mind when you think about getting out of your comfort zone?
I knew you were going to ask me that. And I don't want this to be a cop-out because it truly is the way I feel. And since I feel this way, you can't make fun of me.
Okay.
But I feel like my whole year is out of my comfort zone in a good way.
Very good.
I am at a different school, and you may be thinking, wait, did she record this episode last year? Because she was at a new school last year, and you are correct.
Yes.
And I had a dream last night that I was going to be at a new school next year, but
oh boy,
I know. I was like,
I have students like that. I have students that have not been at one school ever, and they're in the, 8th grade. Go ahead.
But anyway, this whole year is out of my comfort zone, but it's a very good out of my comfort zone. I'm learning so much from the people I'm around. They bring it every single day. And
yes, it was a good career move for you. So it is out of your comfort zone. But I know for you, if I may, was community visits, going out into the community and getting to know, that was out of your comfort zone. And we had to talk to each other, off the roof. Okay, do it. So going to meet the community leaders might be out of your comfort zone. Doing a teacher training might be out of your comfort zone. I'm preparing a book study with my teachers right now, and I'm doing it a little bit different, and it's really stretching me. And I keep thinking, I want, am I doing the right thing with everything we've got going on? But here's the deal. I'm offering it.
Right.
And so it is stretching me. And those are the things I think that bring us joy too. I meant that excitement, and I can do it and moving forward. So think of what at least one thing that you can do this year. And it keeps it keeps upping your game, doesn't it? If we keep adding those things, we become comfortable with it. And we have said on podcasts before, especially with COVID. Now, we have been in school for the majority of the time, but there's a lot of school counselors, Laura, that they're just now going back. And it's been over a year. Mm-hmm. For sure. And so for them, as with you, it's all getting out of your comfort zone because you're going back, for all educators right now. But the good thing about this is we're giving each other a lot of grace. We've learned through this process that we all had to change the way we did things, and that we could. Right. And so mistakes are okay. And we all make them, and we give each other more grace now. So I think that's one of the good things that has come out of this.
Very well said. Let me make it a 6-pack.
Oh.
Getting outside of your comfort zone and expanding your whatever you just said. It was all so good and eloquent, and here I am. But I would say let's add some professional development maybe going to some professional development is a step outside of your comfort zone. We would love for you to use our course as part of your professional development. All these things that we talked about, we have them available and more in a course that we call the First 20 Days. And so you can check out our course on our website. Just go to counseloraccents.com. And I believe, what did we say, Kim? It's worth like 12 hours of PD if you're.
Yes. I think so. Yeah.
And so anyway, it's videos of us talking about some of the things we talked about today, but more in depth, and guides for you to do at your own pace, PDFs that you can print out and use to customize it to your school counseling program. So that is some professional development. If you've heard of great professional development, we would love to know about it, because we love some good professional development too.
So if you want to check out that course, you can go to counseloraccents.com and put in podcast 20 for a discount.
Yes.
And thank you for listening. And may I now tell a story?
Please.
Okay. Is it really story time?
It is story time.
Okay.
And then I'm going to close this out with
a hymn. What are you going to do?
I know, I stopped because I was like, it sounds like I'm about to say a word of prayer. I'm going to
I know. What are you going to close this out with? I will let you surprise me.
Okay.
Surprise. Zip. All right. So I have, my sister came over yesterday, and they have bragged on, they have got a hunting dog. Okay. They went and you're laughing over it. So I don't know if our listeners know a lot about hunting dogs, but we take, this is a little squirrel dog. And so they had found a top breeder in Tennessee, your backwoods.
Yep.
And they had purchased this dog to be a squirrel hunting dog for my little nephew. And so my sister came over yesterday. Now, I want you to know we all live on this big compound. And so, which means we live close to one another when I say that. So they named this dog Pig. And every morning we hear them get pots and pans, because this is part of the training process, if you will. So they bought the dog from breeders that is bred to be a squirrel dog. And they bring the dog home, and then the dog gets acclimated to them, Pig, the dog, and Pig gets to know the family. And then when it's a little older, it goes to school to learn to be a squirrel dog or rat hunt. They're bred, it's a little fast or something. So anyway, my sister, we hear them every morning banging pots and pans. And they do that in the hunting world so that they won't be afraid of guns or noises. So they bang these pans and bang these pans. Every morning we hear them. And we hear them yelling, "Pen, pen." And that is so the dog would go, learn the word and go to its pen. And they have just bragged on how smart this, not afraid of those noises. And yesterday, the little pup Pig went for his well visit, and Pig is deaf. My sister comes over. Now realize I have a deaf child.
Right.
My child is deaf. So my sister comes over last night, and she sits down and she said, "Well, I've got some bad news." And I'm like preparing myself for, we're all in trauma brain. I don't want to hear any bad news from what all we've had to go through this last year with everybody. And so she said, "I've got some bad news. Pig is deaf." And all I could do was laugh, thinking about her banging those pots and pans, yelling "pen" for the last few weeks, and then bragging on Pig. Was such a brave dog. No, Pig never hurt them. And she said, "Well, I kept wondering why it didn't come when I called its name." And, I'm like, she said, I thought, well, A, you named it Pig, and B, it never hurt you. So I am just really tickled over the amount of money that they have spent on this well-bred dog, to do these great and wonderful things. And I said, what are you going to do with Pig? And she said, well, we love Pig. We're just going to keep Pig, but Pig is no longer, it's already retired from the hunting scene.
So
Much to the joy of all the squirrels and rats and rodents on our property.
How funny. All right.
So, yours,
I'm closing us out.
You're going to cut that story out. I can already see it in your eyes.
I may.
It's okay.
I'm going to read a quote from one of our listeners. His name is Isaac, and he says this: I started listening to your podcast about 12 months ago when I started my grad program, and as of last week, I've listened to every episode. I really appreciate the material you produce. And Isaac, that touched our hearts. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Isaac.
To send that. I'm going to read one more. Courtney said that she just learned about us at the ASCA conference and just started listening to our podcast. And this is a direct quote from Courtney. I'm listening to episode 1 and I just heard the dolphin call. That was something special. And just wait till you hear the chicken joke from last week.
That's really something special.
But we would love it if you guys would leave a review just like that on wherever you rate and review your podcasts. Leave us a rating because that helps other people find us. And the reviews are just fun to read, really.
We need affirmation.
Yeah. All right. Is that it?
Yep. Have a great day.